Okay, today I want to talk through a resource that I really begin everything with when I think about my classroom and what I want to happen in it or in the upcoming school year before I go into syllabi or even study at my classroom. I start here these days, and I would offer that it's a really important place to start as a teacher when it comes to your course vision. So I'm going to go through the blank template in this video. I'm going to then show you my sample from last year with one of my courses and also some minor adjustments I made after my own reflection and student feedback to kind of show you what it looks like for this document to be your beginning and your ending in your own classroom experience as a teacher for the upcoming year. So there's nothing about this that I would argue is revolutionary. You're basically beginning by just saying, hey, here's what I want to happen in my classroom for students, or here's what I want students to experience in my classroom. This is a document that I've done many times over in my career. It's a lot easier now in decade number two. And it also is a document that I share with students and families. It's linked on the syllabus, and I really benefit from doing the writing work and the reflecting work for this document when I walk into a new school year. So I list out the things that I want to be true. And then, very simply, I write down two things for each of them. Why do I believe this goal matters? And then, how am I going to know that it happened for students? What is my look for, my measurement? I do that for each of them. And then at the end of the year, I come back. Yes, this was successful. No, it was not. And then I capture my reflections, come back later that summer, like I'm doing currently for my upcoming school year. And then I make adjustments for future visions. And it creates this loop of constant learning as a teacher and constant responsiveness to whatever's happening in your classroom, which pretty cool thing, right? So anyhow, let's go into the sample. So this is my course vision from last year for one of my courses. I've got 7 different look fors. I think if you're starting from scratch and you haven't done this before, or you are a early career teacher, maybe 3 to 5 look fors or goals would be a helpful thing. And you'll see here, I've got things like students feeling a sense of belonging right next to their understanding of a range of literary texts, kind of a more traditional thing that you would assess. Their ability to write, like that's a more traditional thing to assess. I think it's really important that they're all on the same list. For me, it's really important that we start with a sense of belonging and end with them sharing their own story. And then I tack this one on because I get the results after the end of the year. But I want to lay out things that matter to me and not just like say it and not just toss it in the syllabus and never come back to it. But I'm not only going to write down that I want students to feel a sense of belonging, I'm going to write down why I believe it matters, which I think almost every teacher, hopefully, is able to say why that matters. But how are you going to measure it? How do you know? That's the challenge. I think that doesn't always happen. And not every teacher knows how they're going to measure it. And it can't just be an end of year survey, because if you wait till May or June and say, hey, did you feel a sense of belonging? That's too late, right? The year is over. So laying out and holding yourself accountable to what your values are and what your vision is as a teacher, that's what this document pushes you to do and then helps you plan. Because if you're writing this out and you're like, oh, I don't have a good way to measure that, hey, let's find one. Hey, let's literally, I mean, Broken Copier's got quite a few things for this specific question. But if you are saying for anything up here, I want this to be true in my classroom, but I don't know how to measure it, that's a great point of learning for yourself and growth and development to talk with your colleagues, your support systems, because you should be able to measure it. Because if you can't measure it, it shouldn't be on the document. And I think that is a great reflection point, because this is an accountability document for you first and foremost. Uh, Again, going through this whole thing, you'll see some very traditional points, right? Like check-in quizzes, practice AP readings and tests, student reflections, the actual performance on the AP exam. But you also see some more creative things in my classroom. Again, if you have questions, feel free to follow up with me. I'd be happy to clarify. A lot of the stuff ties back to things already posted on the Broken Copier. And I love this document because it allows me to start the year by saying, here's what I want to be true for you as a student, or for your student, if I'm talking to a family member, by the end of this course, and really be upfront and transparent. And me taking the time to lay out all of these things in advance of the school year helps me to articulate them with clarity and also substance. Like I actually mean what I'm saying, right? Because I can lay out all of this stuff. You get to the end of the year, students leave. I look through their reflections, I look through their data. I've been kind of keeping an eye on this document as the year goes, but then I go through and say, hey, these are the things, check, that I feel good about. These are the things that I want to do better as a teacher. I complete my reflections. I come back because of the AP scores. I had to go back and add that update because scores were good, but I didn't know that when I was filling out my initial reflections. And then I make adjustments for the upcoming year. And I'll just show you right here. I actually split this into two because I want to put more emphasis on not just what text they were encountering and discussing, but also what was their level of understanding. The word interpretation is going to be centered in this year for me. So I added that to the document. I made some language changes around collaborative discourse to really kind of elevate the sophistication of what I'm expecting from students in terms of whole class dialogue. I made some adjustments, not just with dates on this document, but including like this idea of, hey, the ability to write with authenticity and versatility has never mattered more, I would offer in this AI moment. And I want to make sure I clarified that in this document so that I can keep clarifying that myself as a teacher throughout the school year. So I made some updates. And then, of course, at the end of the school year, I will come back and I will fill out this reflection. And again, that's why this document it's a cycle, right? You again, going forward, and hopefully a year from now, I have a lot of successes to look at, but also some growth areas as well. So, anyhow, my last point that I want to make is that let me just pause real quick. That's why these videos are free. Sometimes we have some interruptions. There we go. The last thing I want to say is that this is a great talking point I've found as a professional teacher with colleagues and also with my admin, my supervisors. If you have to do traditional goals and you have to do traditional self evaluations and reflections, filling this out might do a lot of that work for you. And then you can copy, paste, adjust for how it needs to fit your system. But I think it's a great way to begin getting ready for students to walk into your classroom before you do all the logistics and the classroom setup and the syllabi. What do you want to be true for students? Why does that matter to you? How will you measure it? Write it down and then hold yourself accountable to that because that's what students deserve. That's how we get better continually as teachers. And if there's anything I can offer beyond this resource, if you want to for follow-up questions, feel free to let me know. And as always, if this is a helpful resource for you, share it in your circles. Subscribe for more resources if you haven't subscribed. And hopefully we just keep working together, learning from each other. And I wish you the best for your upcoming school year in case you're about to dive back into those incredible but turbulent waters. Take care.